Good morning. I wanted to have a really cool home studio set up by now. Alas, I don't for a whole lot of reasons, so I have to do this using these boring old screen captures. It'll get better, I promise. Somebody posted this on Facebook. I thought it was funny. It's this sort of, social distancing flowchart. Are you at home? If the answer is yes, we're done. So print out good job, stay there. If the answer was no, print out go home. Ask the user, are you home now? And if the answer is yes, then we're done. If the answer was no, then it's going to fall into this cycle where it just keeps repeating. So anytime you have a block like that with two paths out of it, that is probably an if statement. And if so, that's an if statement right there. Here's an if statement. And if you have a cycle like that where you don't know how many times it's going to go around, that's probably a while loop. So while loop is probably the best looping construct to model that. Although actually, since we know this loop is going to repeat at least once, the do while loop would actually be the cleanest syntactically to do that with. So let's see if we can go make this. If we if we ask the user this and they say yes, we just want to exit the program. Or another way of saying yes is if the answer wasn't no. That's another way of saying that. So let's go see if we can write that out. So here I am in .NET Fiddle. This seems to work just fine. It's the online compiler, and I'm going to do it in this just so because I know not everybody's got Visual Studio at home. Are you at home? Question mark. And now let's ask the user a question here. So I see a lot of people just doing stuff like console.readLine, and why did autocomplete like that? So the problem is if you just do that, you're reading the console, but you're throwing away whatever it gave you. You need to save this into a variable. What kind of variable does readLine return? Well, it returns you text. What type of variable is used to store text? A string. So let's make a string called answer and set it equal to. So read the console and stuff whatever it returned you into answer. Okay, so now we know we need some sort of if statement. And so we could say if the answer was yes, print good job, stay there, and just go to the end of the program. Otherwise, do all this other stuff over here. So let's say if the answer was yes, we don't really want to do anything. We just want to go to the end of the program. Otherwise, if the answer was no, then we really want to do all this stuff. So let's go back to our online compiler here, and let's give ourselves an if statement. And anytime I write out an if statement, if I'm in Visual Studio, I'll type if and hit tab twice to get the whole thing stubbed out for me. If I'm just writing it myself, I write if, the parentheses, and then the curly braces, and that way the curly braces will never get out of whack. So let's see. If the answer, we'll say, is not equal to yes, and let's just say, y/n, yes, no. All right. If the answer was not yes, so the answer was no. I guess I could also say if the answer was no, that would work too. But then it's like, what if they pick something other than y or n? Console.writeLine, good job. So let's just test out this little bit that we've written here. So I'll click the run button. Are you at home? Yes. Good job. All right. So so that worked. But no matter what we would have entered, it still would have worked. So now let's go handle the no case. So what do we want to do if the answer was no or the answer was not yes? Well, then we want to print go home and then ask the user, are you home now? And we want to do that repeatedly. So that's going to be a while loop or a do while loop. And let's do it using a while loop first, and you'll see that we can clean it up using a do while loop later. We'll kind of do it maybe the first way that pops into our head, but then we'll go back and refine it. Console.writeLine, go home. Okay, and now we want to ask the player, are you at home now? Answer equals console. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, now we've got to print out another message. Console.writeLine. Are you at home now? Question mark. Console.readLine. Okay. And now let's check. Well, now let's say, like, we kind of want, well, maybe here's what, let's try this. While console.readLine is not equal to yes, print go home. So it's going to print out go home. Are you at home now? Let's do the y/n. And let's read it again. And if the answer was not yes, then we're going to say go home. Are you at home now? And then the while loop will just repeat and come back up and read the console again. And it'll keep doing that until the answer is yes. And then it'll skip past the loop, and then just keep running it eventually, and then it'll get down here and print out good job. So let's see if that works. Are you at home? No. Go home. This is frustrating. I wish I don't. How do I get the? Can I expand this so I can actually see my answers? This is very frustrating. Are you at home now? So let me put in no. Are you at home now? No. Are you at home now? Are you at home now? And then if I'm at home and I click yes, then this condition becomes false, is because these things are now equal. They're not equal. So it's going to break out. It's not going to repeat the loop anymore. So the while loop will keep repeating as long as the condition inside the parentheses is true. And if I print out yes, then it says good job. All right, awesome. So how could we clean this up just a little bit? Well, we could turn this from a while loop into a do while loop. So a do while loop falls into the loop body and then evaluates the condition. So what we do is we move the while statement to the bottom, and we need to end it with a semicolon. And if you put the word do up here, oh, come on, delete. Let me zoom in a little bit. So if the answer was not yes, then we're going to say, okay, print go home. Are you at home now? Read the console. And if the answer isn't yes, then it's just going to keep cycling around. So notice that this cleaned up our code a little bit. So the do while loop is used in a situation where you know that the body of the loop is going to execute once, and you put the condition at the bottom rather than the top. So the condition is evaluated after the loop body instead of before the loop body. With a while loop, there's no guarantee that you'll run the body of the loop at all. If the condition is false the first time, you'll just skip over the body and keep going. But if you have a scenario where you know that you want it to execute at least once, then you're good. So let's try this now and just run it again. Are you at home? No. This is frustrating. Are you at home now? No. Go home. Are you at home now? Yes. Good job. Okay, so it's cycled through there. All right, so that seems to be that's my attendance alarm. That's ironic. Okay, so there's an example of just writing a simple loop that matches that flowchart pretty well. I'd say that's, we've made a code implementation of that flowchart, and so there it is. So there's just a little demo compiling online. This window's a little bit frustrating. If it gets in the way, then I start doing Control+, Control- to zoom in and zoom out. But console input seemed to work just fine. And there you go. So Just remember, when you read stuff in from the console, save it into a variable. And then if you need to write a while loop or a do while loop, do while loops will execute at least once. While loops may not necessarily execute at all. But either way, they both execute if the condition inside the parentheses evaluates to true. So there's an example of a program that does the flow chart and the social distancing picture. I hope that was kind of reasonably helpful. If you have questions, email me. I'm online all the time. Many of you are turning in work. I would say do not turn in any work until you've put it into one of these online compilers and tested it, or Visual Studio if you have that and tested it. Please do not turn in garbage. It's just a waste of everybody's time. But many of you are doing great work, and I applaud you. I know these are difficult times, and it's tough to keep a routine going, especially when the material may not be easy for you. But I'm here. I'll answer your questions. I'll help you out. We'll get through this. So stay healthy. Don't go outside. Practice social distancing. And if you need to know how to do that, just run your program.